Hello and welcome to episode 37 of View from the Sideline podcast. Coming up this week, we look back at the FA Cup final with City thrashing Watford to claim a domestic treble. We look back at the Premier League season, a look forward to the EFL playoffs and both all-English European finals. Pete is back with another teaser and we give you an update on what's coming up on the podcast next season.
Hello and welcome to episode 37 of View from the Sideline podcast, and the last podcast of this season. And Rich is here as always. Hello, Rich.
Hi, Chris. Good evening.
Good evening. We've last podcast of this season, but obviously going to be back next season with a few additions which we'll talk about later. Yeah, it might get cut. So we'll start where we always start. From about 8 episodes ago with Pete's teaser.
So Pete's teaser. Last one of the season. This week, which goalkeeper holds the record Premier League clean sheets with a total of 181? Oh, yeah, exactly. I think there's two or three, but I think that's the same every week, really. I've got an idea. I've got two
ideas. I'll try and narrow it down to one. But we'll go straight into the one-sided FA Cup final. Not a great day out if you're a Watford fan.
Well, it could have been. It could have been so different if they'd taken their early chance. But I don't know. Has
there ever been that sort of scoreline in an FA Cup final? I cannot remember.
It's the joint highest. So one more. So 7-0 would have been the record.
Yeah.
But it ties the existing record of 6-0, which is from, I believe it's from the 50s. I think I'm sure I heard it was a game involving Bury that finished 6-0. But
I know Man United beat Chelsea 4-0 in '94, but that was the highest I could think of.
Yeah, this did tie the record.
And obviously, Man City set another record. Like, there's the first domestic treble in the Premier League, I believe, as well. So
yeah, the first treble by a professional male team. I'm guessing that maybe
one of the female teams. I expect the Arsenal female team. I think I've done it before, but
yeah.
The game itself, it was an okay game, but I think it just got a bit silly and a bit, probably not if you're a Man City fan, but it was a little bit boring, second half. But Sterling got given the hat trick in the end. Did he get given that hat trick? Because I know they interviewed him at the end of the match, and he didn't even know. But I think they said that he had been given it. But during the game, they had it down as Jesus. But
I thought he only got 2, but I might be wrong. Maybe he was. But this is for the second goal, wasn't it? Because I thought it was over the. I thought it was over the line.
That's such a horrible thing to do, though, isn't it? Like, just tap it. Maybe
I think he thought it was over the line, and it was one of those ones where there's always an incoming player, and they just sort of bash it into the roof of the net. Just in all
fairness, I thought Jesus had a really good game. Actually, it's probably one of the best games I've seen him play for Man City for a while.
Yeah, I thought he did well. Yeah, he did do well.
Especially it was Aguero, you've got Aguero going end of next season, isn't it? And does Jesus hold out for another season of maybe a lot on the bench, but and then Aguero leaves, or do Man City buy another name striker?
I think they'll buy another one. I do tend to agree with sort of what I've been hearing and what I've been reading since the cup final. Yeah, admittedly, he did have a really good game, but I'm not sure he's at the. He's certainly not at Aguero's level. I'm not sure. I'm not sure he's at the level that City will probably want when Aguero does sort of leave or retire, whatever it is he's going to do. So I would certainly expect them to go out and buy someone, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think Jesus is clinical enough in front of goal, and I think when you take Aguero out of that team, that's a fair majority of their goals are gone. But only time will tell, and we'll see what they do. But all in all,
it was a strange game, I think,
mm,
but because City was so heavily favoured to win that, I don't think many people saw it finishing 6-0. But
oh no,
I don't. I mean, I think as a Watford fan, you'd probably go into it thinking it's a one-off game. You never know. Obviously, you don't want to go away with a 6-0 defeat and
but now,
the final will be remembered for them as a thrashing rather than how well
and they
did to get
in form
there.
in the league as well, didn't they? Like towards the end of the season, and
Yeah, they did, but I don't think it was.
I don't think it's
You would have struggled to see. You would have struggled to see past City winning.
I think anyone would have struggled against Man City, especially the way they played second half. But yeah, Man City winning FA Cup, Carabao Cup, and the league. So
Yeah.
a Liverpool currently 0. They've got second place trophy.
Don't
we'll
say
get
that.
onto that in a minute.
Yeah, don't say that.
So we're gonna move on to a Premier League review now of obviously the season. Obviously, probably one of the more interesting title races I think we've had for a few seasons. I think obviously the Leicester one a couple of seasons ago was close up until the last sort of couple of games, and then Liverpool again. I think in 2012, 13 when they were
Is that
five.
the Gerrard's? Is that the
Well, they were
Gerrard's
5
slip?
points clear, weren't they, with like 3 games to go, and then he slipped and Chelsea beat them, and I think they lost to Palace as well. They lost. They were 2-0 up, I think, in that game and lost 3-0.
No, 3-0. I think it was 3. I think they were 3-0.
3-0. Oh, right. So they completely bottled that one. But I think it was good to see. I know it wasn't either of our teams, which slightly annoying, but I think it was quite a good. And for it to go down to the last game of the season, I think is always very interesting as well.
Well, I mean, a point difference. So finishing after 38 games with only 1 point between you is as close as it's going to get, really, unless you sort of go into the realms of goal difference. I think that City won it in a different way to how they won it the year before. I know they're only 2 points off 100, but getting to the 100 points last year and winning the league by such a margin, they just took apart all teams that they came up against. And I think the good thing this year was, and like you say, I mean, although it wasn't either of our teams, at least there was a team that kept pace with them.
Yeah, it was something, wasn't it?
If Liverpool had performed sort of like Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal did, and City had won it by, I don't know, well, the gap between second and third was 25 points, which is
so bad.
Absolutely
That's terrible.
It's like an extra 8 games.
That's 9. That's pretty much 9 wins. Yeah, 8-9 wins.
Well, 8 wins.
But Liverpool only lost 1 game the whole season, didn't they? Obviously, Man City
against
lost 3.
City. Yeah, but they drew 5 more than City, which I think is kind of where it is. But next year will be really interesting. It'll be interesting to see what Liverpool do in the summer with regards to strengthening their squad, and Man City as well, because although there was a stat, or there was something released over the weekend where they showed a possible Man City starting 11 that didn't start the FA Cup final, and it would have got top 4 in the Premier. Yeah, it probably would. It would have got top 4 in the Premier League. So Man City can't rest on what they've done this season and just expect it to happen again. I mean,
they will need to buy. I think. I know that they've got quite a crowded team, but I think Liverpool, I think for sure, will be spending quite a few million. I would assume, but I think it was, like I said, it was good, and it was good to see Man City get a bit of competition this season. So
yeah, I think anyone would rather the title gets decided on the last game rather
yeah,
than it sort of getting decided in April.
saw a Liverpool fan tweeting out saying that first and second should have a playoff for like a final, like the Premier League final.
Yeah,
And then
he
the
wouldn't.
winner
They
wins.
would not have said that if Liverpool had finished
Yeah,
third.
yeah.
First,
I
sorry.
did
If
laugh.
they'd won it, they would not be saying that.
He called it the
And
Premier League final.
to be fair, I don't think Man City fans would be saying that if they finished second.
No, I
That's
don't.
just,
What
I don't
about
know, bad losers.
obviously the relegation? I wouldn't say it was a battle between probably the bottom two teams, Huddersfield and Fulham. But obviously it did go to the second or third last game of the season for Cardiff. So I think Huddersfield when were Huddersfield relegated? It seems like ages
A
ago they were
long time ago.
relegated.
Yeah, it's
I think even
quite
at
a
Christmas,
few
I think
weeks
we were
ago.
saying that they were likely to be relegated. Fulham, I think their main issue for them was the amount of players that they bought in. I think they bought average players, but expected average players who haven't played before together to work. And I think personally, they should have just kept with the team. Like pretty much Cardiff. I know Cardiff got relegated, but they still put up a fight, for 36 games of the season. Whereas I remember we were talking in the first sort of 8-9 episodes of the podcast that Fulham didn't even know their best back four. They rotated their back four 11 or 12 times first 12 games of the season. So they would
Yeah, but
never ever.
no, but
Just the goals as well that they
the
conceded.
absolutely, that's what I was going to say. The constant thing with Fulham every week was their defence and how poor it was. And one thing that probably that I'm not sure of its relevance, but one thing that may go unnoticed this season is they actually conceded more goals than any other team in the league. I know finishing second bottom, you'd probably expect them to concede a lot, but they even conceded 5 more than Huddersfield. So 81 goals Fulham conceded, which is, you're going to get relegated. I don't even think it matters how many you score. So even if City scored 95, which was the highest in the league, even if Fulham had scored 95 goals, they would have only have had a goal difference of like plus 14, which is ridiculous, really. And I think I do remember you were quite consistent in saying it earlier in the season that they did not have any stability in their back four, and I think that the rumour mill's already going. I mean, I read that Southampton are in for Mitrovic, which I think would be a really good signing for them.
Good signing,
to be honest, because Saints they lack that sort of 10-15 a goal season striker. Well, apart from Shane Long, maybe he's been prolific lately. But yeah, I mean, I think at the beginning, I know you had Southampton in rather than Fulham, I think it was, but I think everybody was probably there or thereabouts.
I think,
maybe Brighton was the one that we didn't expect to be as close as it was, or maybe even Burnley. I mean, Burnley only finished 6 points outside of the relegation zone. So
I think for Southampton, I think the change in manager, I think, actually did help them. I know they still lost a few games, but I would say they definitely looked more of a team together with I'm going to crucify this guy's name, Haas. We all know who I'm talking about.
Hassan Hoodle. I think we call him.
But I think not many times do you see a change in manager change things so quickly, I would say. And I think going back to Fulham quickly, I think appointing Scott Parker, I think is the right thing to do, especially in the. I know he's not he hasn't got a lot of credentials on his managerial sheet, but I think to get the spirit back in that Fulham team and to give them every hope of going back up, I think he's the right man.
Yeah, I agree. I think he will do well. I think he's the sort of manager they need to if they are going to come straight back up. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I don't think Fulham I don't think any of the three that have gone down really are guaranteed to sort of come straight back up. I mean, I think that what, like you say, with Saints and changing their manager, I mean, I don't think that came as any massive surprise because Mark Hughes wasn't really doing anything really, and it gave them the boost that it didn't for Huddersfield changing their manager, and I don't think Cardiff were ever going to get rid of Warnock. So,
oh no, he's staying, isn't he? I saw somewhere. I think that he's going to stay.
I think he's got another year.
I think someone asked him if he'd ever manage in the Premier League again, and he said no.
Well, maybe this might be his last year then, even if he got Cardiff back up. But I don't. I think he will stay. Well, from what I've heard, I think he'll stay.
We've all learned that he'd never got a gold medal in
pole vault.
In pole vault. So
pole vault. Yeah. No, that's right.
That was the very first teaser, I believe, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
We'll just quickly touch on our team's performances this season. We'll just start with Chelsea. They finished above Spurs, so saying right, we go next. I want to get your thoughts, Chris. Just as a we could have finished third or fourth. To be honest, I don't think it really mattered.
Well, it doesn't make an awful lot of difference. I'm intrigued by like Willy Caballero being given a new contract and Giroud being given a new contract.
I read just before the podcast that the Court of Arbitration have released a statement saying they've not heard from Chelsea for 3 weeks.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
It doesn't look like they're going to appeal it. So
no, from what I've read, so the ban will stand.
Yeah, so so there was 4 players out of contract. Cahill, we know is going. Caballero, who signed, Giroud, who's signed an extension, and Rob Green. I've not heard anything about him. So whether they're just going to let him go, I don't know. But he didn't really make any impact this season.
He's part of your English quota, isn't he?
Yeah, I'd say Sarri Ball. I don't think we got to see that. We saw it in glimpses this season. Not overly all convinced. I think that he still doesn't have that second B. Bringing in Czech as a sporting director, I think, is the right thing. Although probably not great announcing it before we're about to play them in the final. And I think he was going to be playing in the final as well. I don't know if you knew that.
Well, yeah, it's a huge conflict of interest now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Just get it. Just I
think his playing career may be done.
Well, yeah. So he's going to be sporting director next season. A lot of talk on Lampard coming in, but we'll see. I think they'll stick with Sarri, to be honest. He hasn't had that bad a season. We started the season up until we played you guys in December and lost. We were level on points with Man City and Liverpool, which is shockingly hard to believe how bad our the second period of the season has gone. And I'll be completely lucky. It was, touch and go for those 2 Champions League places. But I think I'm just glad that we've got it. We're going to be in the Champions League. Whether we've got a Champions League team is,
I'd be really surprised if he stays. I can't see how he possibly stays. I really, really can't.
Europa, do you think they'd still get rid of him?
But I mean, I read today that he's come out and said, I don't know in what context, that if his future at the club depends on him winning the Europa League, then just sack me now is apparently what he said at some level. But I mean, and to be honest, if I was him, and you've got to take it with a pinch of salt because it's in the press and some of it's true, some of it's not. Yeah. But apparently, I think it's Inter Milan and Juventus are in for him. And if I was him and that interest was genuine, I'd go somewhere where I'm wanted. I mean, he's clearly not wanted at Chelsea. And realistically, if Eden Hazard leaves and the transfer ban is upheld and you're going into a Premier League and Champions League campaign next year with pretty much the team you've got at the moment, minus your best player, and the only incomings are going to be players you've already got out on loan. With the greatest of respect, I mean, Batshuayi may make a difference. Tabby Abrahams may make a difference. I know there's players all over Europe that if they were that good, they wouldn't be out on loan. And I just kind of think he's on a hide into nothing. And I think if he stays, he will not last the season. There is no way he could last another whole season.
There are going to be players that he feels that he needs to manage, especially like you said, manage both the league and the Champions League. We've already lost Loftus-Cheek.
It's not even that though. So just say a couple of months in, so sort of say come the beginning of November.
Yeah.
It may happen, it may not. But say you're mid-table after 2.5 months, sort of like, I don't know, 10 games in.
Yeah.
No, Chelsea won't stand for that.
Oh no.
And he'll be gone. And
it's whether they. So basically, I think they either. See, it's not worked in the past where they've sacked managers halfway through the season. The damage is already done. It's like with Mourinho when we were mid-table, and and at some points in that season we were like 4th, 5th from bottom.
Winning the trophy will not save his job. So Conte won the double, didn't he? Then got sacked. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then didn't Ancelotti do the same thing?
He won.
Or was it?
Yeah,
Benitez won the Europa League as well, didn't he? And got sacked.
Oh yeah, Roberto Di Matteo won the Champions League, mate, and then 3 months later he got sacked.
Winning the Europa League to get Champions League qualification, which you've already got, and everything that you see points to Hazard leaving. Not one thing says that he's going to stay.
No.
The only thing that seems to be still up for debate is what the actual transfer fee is going to be and when it's going to be announced. Apart from that, it seems done and dusted. I can't see how he stays personally.
Oh no! In previous seasons, I know when he's been linked, I've felt confident, but I think with the team that are there now, there's not much more he could have done this season. I think to get us where. Let's face it, his goals and assists have got us that Champions League spot. So, yeah, I'd say overall a C+ for the season.
C+? I'd go higher than that. I'd say B.
I'd say finished in position was good, but from where we were in December and how badly it got, Carabao Cup final, the whole. Keeper not coming off, and then there's been a lot of instances, I think, but we'll see. What about Tottenham's season?
I don't know. It's such a difficult season to
still on cloud nine.
Yeah, I've the blue and white buntings on order. The inflatable goals are on order for the garden for next Saturday. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's difficult to sum up Spurs' season purely for the fact that they've reached the Champions League final. I think I've been quite consistent in the respect of I've always said that as long as they get top 4, then that's all. That was the main aim for this year. Getting away from Wembley and making sure we went into the new stadium with top 4 was the absolute priority. As is becoming relatively normal for Spurs now, there is probably a 3 week, or maybe 2 or 3 week window where people are actually considering they could win the title, and then they sort of just blow it. And for me, there's a couple of games that sort of really stick out as sort of almost roadblocks in our season, really. The first one was the 4-2 defeat away at Arsenal when we went down early and then came back to 2-1 ended up going down to 9 men and losing 4-2. And that was sort of in the middle of, we're taking into cup games as well, and the PSV and the Champions League. There was 5 or 6 wins on the spin for that. Admittedly, we did go on to beat Saints and then Leicester away in the next 2 games, but still, if we could have kept that momentum up, that would have been really good for us.
Yeah.
And then the killer for me was just after Christmas when we were 1-0 up against Wolves at home and went on to lose 3-1.
I know what that feels like.
And then again another couple of wins, but then we lose to United, which was, I think that was Solskjaer's second game in charge, which I think Spurs probably felt, well, that was the game De Gea recorded like 20 plus saves, I think. So that was probably one that we thought we should have won. And then coming into sort of the end of February, we lost 2-1 away at Burnley and then lost to your lot 2-0.
That was an own goal in that one as well.
Yeah, yeah. And then obviously, I'm not going to go for every Spurs defeat, but then we had the 2-1 away. The game I went to, the Saints game at St Mary's, no way we should have lost that game. So it's it's a mixture, but ultimately we got Champions League football. We are in the Champions League final where anything could possibly happen. And if Spurs win that game, then it will be
honestly,
the best season that Spurs have ever had. And I think, I know we spoke about this last week, I think it was, about a possible lineup for Spurs next season. And I think it's almost the other end of the spectrum as what it is for Chelsea, because you're going to try and put a team together from what you've got. But I think the cost of the stadium aside, for Spurs, it's almost like, as a Spurs fan personally, I don't actually mind that much if they start getting rid of a few players, which maybe over the last 2 or 3 years would have been a definite no-no, especially considering we haven't brought anybody in. But I love them all, and I would love them all to stay. But if people like Trippier were sort of to leave, or, do you know what I mean, Ben Davis, people like, I mean, Serge Aurier, people like that, I mean, they've done an awful lot for us this season, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if they were to go.
No.
And I mean that in the nicest possible way. People like Eriksen, he needs to stay. Alderweireld, I don't think, if you let him go, I know we've got Vertonghen and Sanchez, but if we let Alderweireld go, we're never going to get anyone as good as he is for like the money that he's going to go for. So do what you can to keep him. And personally, I think he'd be mad if he went to United. I think he'd be crazy to go to United and leave Spurs.
Just quick question for you. Champions, after your 4th game in the Champions League, did you think that you'd be in the final?
No, God no.
I saw a picture of the league table about what you would have had to done, and it just all kind of fell into place. And
who did? Honestly, I'll tell you what.
Crazy,
I'll be honest with you. When the draw was made for the knockout stages, and we were drawn against Dortmund, and they were flying at the time in the Bundesliga, I didn't even think we'd get past Dortmund. And then when the Man City draw was made, all people were worried about was it was going to be Champions League in the new stadium. That's what everyone was talking about, not the fact that Spurs could get to the semi-finals.
Yeah.
And then after the first half hour against Ajax, I mean, I just thought it's been a great journey. Let's just make sure we get 4th in the league. And Spurs are like, I think they're 3 or 4 to 1 to win the final, which I think is very, very generous. I don't think it's. I think it's a lot closer than the sort of the odds are being suggested.
Just don't do an AC Milan and go 3-0 out and then leave in the end. You'll never get the end of that.
I want to go 3-0 down. But because that seems to be what you do in the Champions League. If you sort of take a bit of a battering and come back from it, I know it's not over 2 legs, but I think they've got a shot. I don't see why they haven't, to be honest. So I'd probably score Spurs this season probably a B plus, but purely, I mean, the bulk of that is around the fact we've qualified for Champions League and we're in the Champions League final.
Cool. Right. Shall we move over to Championship League 1 and League 2?
Yeah, so I think this is more of just a confirmation of the playoff finals, because obviously they're coming up this weekend.
I'm going to watch. I'm going to make sure.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a really good one. So Derby went to Ellen Road, won 4-2 after losing the first leg 1-0. So they made it through. And West Brom Villa, what a game that was! Ended up going to penalties with Villa coming out on top. So I fancied Villa against West Brom before the first leg, but I got to be honest, I fancied Leeds over Derby. So
yeah,
but John Terry v Frank Lampard,
it's gonna be good.
The bet? What's the betting that Terry comes on in full kit?
I was saying this the other day. Like they were saying, Aston Villa fans weren't happy that he didn't get his full kit on at the end of the game against West Brom. But I don't think he'd do that. I don't personally. I don't think it'd be wise to do it.
He does love himself.
I've got a feeling, right? I've got a really big feeling that if they go up, he is going to come out of retirement.
No, I don't.
And just have one last season in the Premier League.
I don't think he would. One, I'll tell you for why. One, because I think it would almost make a mockery of his now chosen career as in management.
Yeah.
And secondly, I think it would be even more of a mockery because you know that he would refuse to play against Chelsea.
What you say?
Yeah, but then it just makes it all about him. I tell you what, if I was a Villa fan, I wouldn't want him to. That next season should be about them getting back into the Premier League, not John Terry. I'm a Lampard fan anyway.
League One.
Well, just lastly on that, who are you picking? I'm going Villa. Going Villa. Really?
Yeah. Mate, that Derby team's got Lampard, Ashley Cole, Mount, Tomori, and it might as well just be Chelsea playing in that final.
Yeah. I'm going Villa. I don't
think Ashley Cole will start, but I think he'll come on at some point in that game. Yeah.
Okay, so League One. So Portsmouth, Sunderland, second leg 0-0. So Sunderland go through 1-0 on aggregate after winning the first leg. Pretty uneventful, really, apart from the fans giving. I've heard he's been referred to as Weetabix hair, which I thought was quite funny.
For that.
Well, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he's been charged. I think he's been charged by the police with something.
Just quick. I saw 3 Tottenham fans their season tickets have been revoked or something. And they were trying to sell tickets
selling final tickets online.
That's good.
Yeah,
done that.
I think it's very good. Yeah, I think it's great they're clamping down on it. So Sunderland will be at Wembley on Sunday. I think the League One final is, and they'll be playing Charlton, who won on penalties. So although they lost the first leg 2-1, they won the second leg 3-2, I think it was.
Yeah.
So 4-1 aggregate, and then Charlton went through on penalties. So that's a repeat of the 98 playoff final that went to penalties.
Have you, where on earth have you dug that one out from?
I heard that on a rival podcast, Chris. I don't know if it's a rival to us. It's the Guardian newspaper. I think they're a bit more advanced than us.
Which might not be that season 2.
I love it. I love the Guardian football daily. Yeah, it's good. So they were talking about it. I'm gonna go for Sunderland. Although Lee Bowyer and Johnny Jackson have gone in at Charlton as sort of manager and assistant, and they've done a amazing job.
Oh yeah.
But I just fancy Sunderland. Yeah.
League 2 is I think our last podcast it was already decided. It's a Newport Tranmere final. So yeah, It's hard to call this one because Tranmere were on such good form up until the last sort of 3-4 games of the season, and they lost a lot of momentum. And then Newport kind of did the opposite. They kind of dipped, and then they beat Yeovil, and then they won all their games. So
I'm going to go Tranmere. I'm going to go Tranmere for that one.
I'm going to go Newport, just because I've seen them this season play. So, and they did you know they actually finished on a 0 goal difference? They actually didn't even finish minus in the end.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So yeah.
That is a bit. It's probably worth just noting, just for next season, League 2. So congratulations to Salford who have gone up through the playoffs. They got through the playoffs? I think they did, didn't they? So Leighton Orient have gone up as champions.
Yeah, Salford have gone up. Yeah, they have.
Yeah, Salford have gone up. So that means that our trip for next year is on.
Yeah,
Chris,
so
our trip to Eastleigh to watch.
Can't wait.
We're going to go and watch Yeovil play. So yeah, that's.
What stand are you going to sit in? I need to just confirm you're going to sit with me, aren't you, in the Yeovil end?
Or I had no idea. I didn't even know Eastleigh had stands. I thought we could just wander around.
Oh no, not a Yeovil. You can't do that either. It's professional.
Well, you'd have to get me a ticket. Yeah, so we're gonna obviously next season we're probably gonna do a non-league watch, aren't we, Chris?
To
keep an eye on our adopted club. So we'll have to keep an eye on Yeovil. So yeah, that's the League 2. I think that's it for part 1.
Yeah, that's it
today.
For part 1. Yeah, we'll be back in part 2. We've got 2 special topics. We're going to have a look at some predictions for next season, and then a bit on sort of what is going to happen for next season, and all the new features, and a bit on the gaming channel. And then we're also going to have a quick look at the Champions and Europa League finals. So we're back in part 2.
Hello and welcome back to part 2 of View from the Sideline podcast. We're going to go straight into the first part of our special topic this week, which is just a quick summary for our predictions next year. Now, we did this at the start of this season. Well, I think we did pretty well, actually.
I nailed the top 4, but you got the bottom 3 right, I believe.
Yeah, so we got them all,
right,
so it was only me having United in the top 4 and you having Saints in the bottom 3 that we didn't get. I'm going to be boring. I'm going to go for City to win the title. And my main reason for that is I do think they're going to strengthen in the summer, and I think that even if Liverpool and the others do strengthen, I still think City are going to be too tough.
Yeah, so I'm going with City as well. Like you said, I still don't. I see Liverpool giving them a good sort of run for their money, but I still think it's all going to depend on who people bring in. Obviously, for Man United, it's going to be a little bit tougher to bring in the bigger names unless they can be persuaded. Chelsea aren't going to be bringing anyone in, so for them, it's going to be an interesting season for Chelsea. But I'm picking Manchester City.
And I think for the top 4, I'm going to obviously keep Liverpool in there. I'm going to keep Tottenham in there. Unfortunately, Chris, I'm going to get your boys out. Like I did.
I don't think you put them in. I don't think you put them in.
No,
this season,
I didn't.
Right.
And
Rich is definitely not coming back for next season.
I'm gonna put Arsenal in. I'm just gonna swap Chelsea out, and I'm gonna put Arsenal in. I think Chelsea's going to be transitional, and I think United is going to be hugely transitional, and I don't think any of the others are going to break the top 6.
Right. So my top 4 is going to be exactly what I picked this season. Not going to change. I've got no need to change it.
So as it is now. That's very bold of you.
Well, yeah, Well, Chelsea finished third this season with that squad. Not a lot's going to change other than Hazard probably going, but we've got Pulisic, so
Well,
right.
we'll see.
We'll be all right with relegation.
Relegation.
Oh,
I'm
God,
gonna
I hope
go.
you're not putting us in there.
No, I'm gonna go. So from the teams coming up, I think that Villa or Derby, I think would be safe, as I do think Norwich will be. Unfortunately, I'm going to put Sheffield United in. So one of the three teams that's coming up, I'm going to put going straight back down. I'm actually going to, and it's loosely based on the sort of second half of this season, but I'm going to put Brighton in there.
That's literally mimed the same thing when you just said that, man.
And the other one, I don't know. I've got a feeling for Bournemouth, and I think the only reason I've got a feeling for Bournemouth is I think that some of their better players might be gone in the summer, and I think there's only so long they can live on this. We're only going to get points in either the first half or the second half of the season. So I'm not wholly convinced on that. I'm certainly going to go for Brighton and Sheffield United. Right. And if I'm honest, it's probably a toss-up between Burnley and Bournemouth. But I'm gonna go Bournemouth.
Okay,
I hate to say it, I like Bournemouth.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'll go bottom Sheffield United. I just don't think that they're going to have the resources. I think to probably buy too much. I'm with you on Brighton as well. Poor second half of the season, and sacking Chris Hughton, for me, I don't think it's the right thing to do.
No, I agree.
I don't really. This guy, they bought someone in. He was.
Yeah, he's a Swansea manager, but he hasn't been Swansea manager for that long. I mean, admittedly, he has turned them around.
Is he the guy that got some Swedish non-league side to their Premier League the Premier League?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it's a bit knee-jerk. They're obviously looking at playing maybe a different style of football. I don't know. Just on that, I did read that apparently there was quite a bit of a falling out between the owner and Chris Hughton because they basically viewed football in a different way. Maybe
but he's not the owner wanted them to play wasn't in the Premier League playing pretty much the same way. The start of this season, like I'm pretty sure at one stage of the season they won like 1-0, like 3 or 4 games in a row. They kept
they did. They were doing all right. They were doing all right.
I'd say Brighton. I don't think
I'm going to pip them to go.
Yeah. Now, I was also thinking Bournemouth, but now I think I've got to make it a bit different. So I am going to go with Norwich.
That surprises me.
Just because of the fact of their sort of history with coming up and going back down. And I think it might be dependent on whether they can keep this striker. Is it
Pukki, yeah.
I think there might be a few mid-table Premier League teams maybe looking at him.
I've got to be honest. I think Norwich will stay up because I think Norwich will do what Fulham should have done.
Do you think they'll learn from? Do you think teams will learn from this?
And I don't think Fulham Norwich haven't got anywhere near the budget that Fulham had. No. But I think Norwich will do what Fulham should have done, regardless of budget, and they will keep the nucleus of that team together. And I think that's what will make them stay up.
We'll wait to see.
But that Bournemouth thing's going to come back and bite me in the bum. But I mean, even Saints. I mean, it's going to be a big season for Saints.
Saints will be all right
and whatnot. But yeah, okay.
So moving on to the European finals, which we both have a team in there. Obviously, we'll just quickly go with the Chelsea one. I think for this is obviously going to mean a lot more to Arsenal than it will to Chelsea. Not saying that it's not, going to be a big deal for Chelsea, but I'm just saying that Arsenal for Champions League next season need to win this game. Seeing that obviously Ramsey's not playing, is he? So I think
No,
and
he's gone.
Mkhitaryan isn't. So Mkhitaryan's a weird one because I've seen that they've said that due to safety reasons they're not letting him travel.
Yes,
But
but
whether they're just
it's
covering up the fact that he couldn't get a visa, because I know, like you said last week, that the two countries he's from, Armenia and Azerbaijan, aren't on political speaking terms at the moment. So
no. It's a
it's a
very
strange one.
political response. I don't think it's a football response.
No, so I think that's
I've
two
got to
big
be honest with
losses
you.
for Arsenal.
I don't think he's that much of a loss. I don't think Mkhitaryan is that much of a loss. I think Ramsey's a lot more. But obviously he's left the club, and I know he's injured, but he's leaving the club, which I think sort of
I think
doubles
they'll
it.
start with both Lacazette and Aubameyang.
I
think they'll
do.
play two up front. And I
Have you seen
genuinely.
Arsenal's new kit?
So they've gone back to the
Oh, I
yellow one.
hate to say it. No,
It's
I
nice,
hate to
isn't it?
say it. It's
Very nice.
really nice.
And the annoying
Yeah,
thing
they've gone back
is,
to
I was
Adidas.
going to get the boys a football shirt next season, but they're really into the colour yellow at the moment, so I'm really worried that he's going to want that one. But
Oh,
I
well, it's
think
better than the Chelsea one.
the game will be majority Arsenal possession. I think Chelsea will sit back. I have a feeling that he started Giroud in every Europa League game, so I'm assuming that he'll stick with him. I personally think it will probably be a draw and go down to penalties, and I'll just say Chelsea to win on penalties. I think for us, I think the thing for Arsenal is that their defence is appalling, but Chelsea's attacking with Higuain or Giroud isn't really going to pose much for us. It's whether they can deal with Hazard, and I'm pretty sure they'll probably double up on Hazard when he gets the ball and try and play him out of the game. But good news is Kante was training this week, so he should be fit to play next week.
I'm going Arsenal.
I think
I'm
a lot of
going
people
Arsenal
will just
for
because
win.
they've got more to lose, I think, than what Chelsea have.
I think if Chelsea don't get top four, I'm going for Chelsea in this game purely for the fact that Hazard is the player on the pitch that can change that game in an instant. And I'm not saying for 1 second that he's not going to try, because he obviously will. It's a major European final. If he does not start, I think Sarri doesn't. He leaves before the final whistle. That would just be absolutely mental, because even the worst thing that happens to them is he gets injured and they have to keep him. I don't see how that's a bad thing for
not
Chelsea.
A bad thing, actually, mate. Just get him out until like October,
I think Chelsea are going to struggle with Aubameyang and Lacazette, to be honest.
We haven't got no Rudiger either. He's out injured as well.
No, and I think Arsenal will cope better with Hazard than you will with their front two.
They're just quick.
And for that reason, I'm going to go Arsenal. They're very quick, and I think Arsenal do have more riding on it. So I'm going to go for Arsenal in. I'm going to go for Arsenal in 90 minutes.
What about?
Yeah. I think Spurs will win. I think Spurs will lift the trophy. I don't know how, by what method or what, but I think that
it will be, mate. I'm not even joking. It will be the most nervous 90, potentially 120 minutes. Mate, if it goes to penalties like the one Chelsea did, mate, my heart was doing jumping jack. It was, there's no better feeling in football than to win that trophy. I think I actually want Spurs to win it.
I think they will. I think the two games we've had against Liverpool this season, they've both finished 2-1 to Liverpool, and I think that Liverpool have deservedly come so close to winning the title when they've got a record amount of points, etc., etc. But I think that Spurs are probably. I even think that if you said to a Liverpool fan, if you could play any team in the Premier League, sort of top 8, if you like, Spurs would probably be the one they don't want to play.
No.
because I think Spurs caused them problems, and I'm convinced Harry Kane's going to play.
Do you think he will? Do you
Yeah, I
think they're
think
going to
he
keep
will.
it under wraps until the day, or?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, the thing is that I've been on social media this week that he's putting things on. I think he's back training with the first team from what I've seen.
Does he start if he's 80%
Absolutely,
fit?
absolutely.
So even if he's not 100%, he still starts.
He starts, absolutely, 100%. He starts because Lucas Moura will go down in Tottenham history for getting that hat-trick against Ajax, and I love him, and
he'd still play. He's still going to.
Yeah, he probably will. But if it was a toss-up, an 80% Harry Kane plays over Lucas Moura, and he probably plays over Son, depending on how he's going to play.
You can't leave Son out, mate. He's my favourite player.
You probably can't. But I think Kane plays over both of them in that sort of, in the type of game that it is, and I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be quite free flowing. I don't think they even sort of like, if it was Liverpool, Barcelona, or say it was a Liverpool Juventus final, and they're sort of like boxers jabbing at each other, trying to just poke and prod at each other, and the first half's a bit cagey. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think they know enough about each other that it will probably be played, refereeing allowed, of course, like a Premier League game.
Well, Sissoko, does he start?
Are you serious?
Just asking the question. I'm asking you.
He has been Spurs' player of the season. I know Son won all the awards, but Sissoko has been unbelievable. We have now got the Musa Sissoko that we bought after his World Cup performance. So or was it the Euros? Whichever one it was. He was unbelievable.
Who is he in? Where does he play at the moment? In centre mid with Ali and Wanyama? Do you think Wanyama won't play?
No, but Wanyama's probably one that I would add to my previous list about people that I wouldn't be that overly upset.
Do you play 5 at the back?
No, why? We never play 5 at the back.
Partial to, well, all right, okay.
We play 3 or 5. I think he's going to go.
Is Vertonghen fit?
He will be. I think
will he play left back?
I think he'll go 3-5-2.
You think he'll play 3 at the back?
And if he doesn't, he'll go 3 or 4 at the back. He won't.
Rose and I know you like Rose. So.
Well, he'll probably play. I would imagine he'll play because we started off that way against Ajax, and then when Vertonghen had to go off injured and we went to a 4, it was a lot better. So maybe he will start with that. I can see him playing Vertonghen and Alderweireld in the back 2.
Sanchez doesn't play.
No.
I think
he'll be the sacrifice, and then I think he'll play Rose and Trippier.
I think he'll play Sanchez. I think he'll put Vertonghen out left back.
No, I don't think he'll do that. But I think I honestly think Spurs have got a really good chance of winning.
Is it next Saturday?
Yeah, 1st of June.
Is it that day, mate? I probably won't get to see it.
No.
Although our Europa League finals a week today, mate, so it might be a late one.
No podcast.
Oh, don't say that.
It's sad it's the last one, isn't it?
I've got a few things just to say that the launch of FIFA from the Sideline Gaming
it's out there, Chris, isn't it?
So yeah, so I put a few videos on there, but right, okay. My editing skills, I can edit a podcast, but videos is completely new to me, and there are so many legalities with videos. It's unbelievable. So we've had 2 of the videos that I've put up so far have been copyright claimed already, because apparently one of them has got 3 seconds of music on it, right? And the only way to take it off is you take the whole audio off, which is just ridiculous. So anyway, I am coming up with different ways to try and put music over the top of it so this doesn't happen again. I've probably recorded now 8-9 videos, so I've got So we've got videos there that are being released. So I actually released one on Monday, which I wasn't going to do, but I did. I'd say it's gone well. It's okay so far.
I think that
I think it needs a bit more, but I think it's
my gaming levels of knowledge are pretty horrendous. But
I just need to get a little bit better at editing the videos. And
Chris, don't dumb down our product on
not dumbing
this
down. I'm
podcast.
just saying.
I
could
think
do
the
better.
message should be the message should be. I think from the I think there's 3 videos on there now. We must be pushing 200 plus views on YouTube.
The one I put up on Monday, within about an hour, it already had 60, 70 views.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a handful of subscribers. I think the thing to say with this is it's a new venture. There is going to be some other stuff on there. We're going to get some Fortnite stuff on there, Chris.
So yeah, I'm going to be recording with Lewis probably starting next week. So we've got someone else.
So I think
who's going to record with me. So I've got someone to, instead of just people watching me play the game, I've got someone else there as well to make it a bit more.
Absolutely. And if it's a new venture for us, so I mean, we'd obviously encourage people to subscribe to it. The more subscribers we can get, the more interest, the better.
So so there'll be videos
in the summer.
There'll be videos posted throughout the summer. The Twitter handle is at VFTSL_gaming. Just go there. I put any video that I've posted is on there, and there's a link to the YouTube channel. I'm also so at the moment it's streamed. The games are streamed through something called Twitch, but so I might be streaming some live stuff on there. But I'll put it all on Twitter if I am, and then if anyone wants to come and join, feel free.
It's worth noting. So obviously, under the View from the Sideline banner that we've got, there is a separate Twitter page, one for the podcast that we're doing now, and then there's one for the gaming as well. On Facebook, we're kind of combining the two. I think that's how we're going to go, Chris.
Yeah.
To do that. So yeah,
that.
Just on that, we forgot to mention when we said about Arsenal's new kit. View from the Sideline podcast has got a new kit. If you haven't seen it alredon't we've updated our logo.
2019-20.
Yeah, I don't. We want to try and establish some sort of brand, so I don't think we're going to be updating our logo every year. But obviously this year being our first year, we've kind of wanted to spruce it up just a little bit going into the second year. So yeah, that's on all our social media.
So a few new things from August.
Yes,
you managed to pin Pete down and get him to sign.
I have
officially.
I almost want to say that Pete is an official View from the Sideline employee, except we are not paying him in any way. But I think we're gonna try and do it a little bit differently next year. We're actually gonna get Pete to do the audio for his teasers. So rather than us reading it out, he's actually going to be, which I think will be good as well, because we won't actually know what the teaser is until we hear it.
Do you want to talk about predictions challenge next season?
Yes. So predictions, we're going to change slightly. I haven't seen Jamie yet. It's actually his wedding anniversary, so he's been away, so we haven't actually presented him with the trophy yet.
Tell him he's got until next week, otherwise I'm taking it back.
So for predictions next season, we're going to change it slightly. The format will be the same in regards to the 6 games, predict the score, etc. But we're going to try and see if we can get the score spaced out a little bit more. So we're going to be introducing a golden goal option where you will pick which of the 6 matches the first goal will be scored in, and maybe a few other changes to the scoring methods that will make next season's challenge.
Yeah, it's just to make
a little bit more interesting.
5-6 people in second place. But
I mean, it's gone really well this first year, so I think it's just developing on that. And obviously we're going to take a look at the website as well. We're gonna start developing the website.
And Jamie will be the first person, I believe, to do the Prediction
He
challenge
will.
thinks he's defending his.
Yeah, he
his
will.
He does get to keep the trophy, by the way, everyone. I'm not going to take it
He
back off
does.
of him.
Yeah, yeah,
This
he
is for
does.
life. He can. I want to see that in the middle. Although I'm never going to go to Southampton, it'd probably be
It'll
really
be on
weird
a
if I did.
mantelpiece.
It needs to be in.
It'll be on the mantelpiece. I'm
You
sure
know,
every time I go round there, he'll get it out
it
and
just get
dust
it
it
out,
off
just
and
shine it off of
yeah,
it.
put it on.
But yeah.
So yeah, just on the website, we're going to try and get a bit more regular with blogs. I think, 'cause I think that's something that we've done quite well this season. So
Yeah.
it is the end, Chris. It is the end. 37 episodes. I think what we'll do, which would be quite good, considering this is our first ever experience at doing any sort of podcast, and the fact that we've got this far is a bit of an achievement on its own. But we should probably do our year in numbers. Maybe we could put it on social media or something, because we've had a lot of engagement through Facebook. We've got 300 plus followers on Twitter. We've got we're on course to hit 3,000 views and on downloads on YouTube alone.
Just a quick. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. There was an issue last week with the hosting website that kind of like distributes the podcast to all the other podcast apps. I believe it's been fixed. So hopefully this one will get to go. Because I had a few people asking if there was one last week, but I've told them there was. But yeah, there was a slight issue with.
So we do have listeners. We do have listeners. But yeah. I mean, so 3,000 views, like I say, that's what we're heading for on YouTube, which is so much more than we thought, Chris.
And obviously,
we never thought we'd hit that sort of number.
If you joined like halfway through, or the last sort of, you've listened to the last sort of 3 or 4, by all means, go and listen to the back catalogue. I'd love to hear our first podcast. I really.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. I've listened to it. It's awful. If you go back now, we have come such a long way, and I think next year
we feel a lot more confident doing it.
Next year will be bigger and better, and it's gone so much better. I hate to keep saying the number, but it might not sound a lot, but it is to us. We were we're getting just on YouTube alone around sort of 85 a week, and that's not even on Spotify or iTunes. So thanks to everybody.
Yeah. Well, there is a few people need to thank. So the stand-in.
This is like an Oscars acceptance speech.
So I got to thank Greg, who filled in for one of the podcasts, and Adam as well, who filled in for one, but also at the same time managed to get the 0 on predictions. So Adam will actually go down
made us
history.
all look better. Made us all look better than we actually are.
Yeah, thank you to those 2 people who helped.
Okay, so let's wrap it up. Teaser answer. Goalkeeper with the record clean sheets in the Premier League.
I just said Che. That's all I could think about.
I'm going to say I've already got it Googled, but I was going for David James or Mark Schwarzer. They were my 2, and if I had to punt, I would go David James. But I like your guess better, so it's up to you.
We'll go with that then.
Who?
Check.
Better check.
Yeah.
That's it. We've done it.
There you go.
We got the last one right. That's all we needed to do. David Seaman was surprising. He hasn't.
He isn't there.
Where he is, he's 4th with 140, but he's actually got 3 clean sheets for Man City.
Who, David Seaman?
Yeah, you don't forget things. You forget things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. So we will be active on social media, but as far as the football podcast goes, we'll be back in August.
Yeah, August. Season 2.
But we're going to use the summer to push the gaming channel.
Yeah, so like I said, I'll be posting everything on the gaming channel, and the podcast Twitter will still be active. I'll still be putting stuff on there, like old podcasts and stuff. Maybe I'll do a blooper reel of Rich's intros, but just have to beep out literally every other word.
Some of them are terrible. And obviously we'll be posting around the European finals anyway. Thanks again everyone for your support, and we'll see you in August.
See you in August.